The sky was dark like the end of the world. Waves from the sea crashed against the shore, sending spray high into the air. Sirens wailed in the distance, warning everyone to leave. Ethan's old pickup truck rattled as the wind pushed it from side to side. He gripped the steering wheel hard, his knuckles turning white. The radio voice kept repeating the same words. Category 6 hurricane. Seek shelter immediately. Rain hammered the windshield, making it hard to see the road ahead. He'd been driving for hours, trying to get away from the coastal town. But the storm was faster, stronger, and more dangerous than he expected. Trees bent low under the force of the wind, branches snapping like dry bones. Pieces of rooftops flew past, and road signs twisted in the air. Ethan knew his truck would not last much longer. The engine made a strange coughing sound. Then, without warning, the headlights flickered and the truck came to a stop. His heart sank. The hurricane was almost here. He pushed the door open, the wind nearly tearing it from his hands. Cold rain soaked him instantly. He looked around, searching for anything that could be shelter. The road was empty, only the endless trees and shadows on both sides. Lightning flashed, lighting up the wet forest for a brief moment. That's when he saw it, a small metal shape hidden under thick vines. It was low to the ground, almost buried under dirt and roots. Another flash of lightning showed a rusted metal hatch with a round handle. Ethan didn't think twice. He ran to it, slipping in the mud. The wind howled like a monster above the trees. He grabbed the handle and pulled, but it was stuck. His hands slipped on the wet metal. He tried again, putting all his strength into it. With a loud creak, the hatch finally opened. A smell of old air and damp stone rose from the darkness below. A metal ladder led down into the unknown. Another crash of thunder shook the ground. Ethan climbed down, pulling the hatch closed above him. The sound of the hurricane faded, replaced by silence. He stood still, breathing hard, trying to adjust to the dim light. The air was heavy and cold. Drops of water fell from somewhere above, echoing in the space. He took a few cautious steps forward. The walls were made of stone and metal, covered in strange scratches. In the faint light, he saw shelves with dusty boxes and tools. The place looked abandoned, but there was something odd about it. Ethan's shoes splashed in shallow puddles as he walked deeper. The silence started to feel wrong. It wasn't just quiet. It felt like something was holding its breath. That's when he heard it. A slow, heavy breathing, coming from the dark ahead. He froze, his own breath catching in his throat. The sound was deep, like it came from a huge chest. It didn't sound human. Lightning flashed again outside, and for a second the light came through a small crack in the wall. In that brief glow, Ethan thought he saw movement. A shadow that was not his own. His pulse raced. The breathing grew louder. Closer. He backed away slowly, his hands shaking. Something moved in the darkness. A faint shape against the deeper black. Ethan's mind screamed at him to run, but his legs would not listen. The shape stepped forward, and he could hear the sound of claws scratching the floor. A pair of faintly glowing eyes appeared, staring straight at him. Ethan's mouth went dry. The creature's breathing was calm, steady, as if it was studying him. He could feel its presence, strong and heavy in the air. The wind outside screamed against the hatch, but here, underground, it felt like another world. Ethan didn't know if he had escaped the hurricane or walked into something far worse. Ethan stood frozen, staring into those glowing eyes. His mind tried to make sense of what he was seeing. The creature did not move, only watched him. Its breathing was slow, almost relaxed, as if it had all the time in the world. The dim light from a single cracked bulb flickered overhead. With every flicker, Ethan caught quick glimpses of its shape. It was tall, maybe 7 feet. Its body built like a soldier, but not quite human. The skin looked like dark metal, smooth in some places, ridged in others. Sharp lines ran across its arms and chest like armor. The eyes glowed faintly blue, shining even in the shadows. Ethan's heart pounded so hard, he thought the creature could hear it. He tried to speak, but his voice came out as a weak whisper. Who? Who are you? The creature tilted its head, the motion smooth, almost mechanical. Then, in a low and broken voice, it spoke. You should not be here, human. Ethan's skin crawled at the sound. The voice was deep, heavy, and had a strange echo to it. The words were slow, as if the creature was not used to speaking his language. Lightning cracked outside, sending a faint tremor through the bunker walls. Ethan took a step back, but his foot splashed in a puddle, the sound echoing through the room. The creature's eyes narrowed slightly. Storm brought you, it said, more like a statement than a question. Ethan nodded slowly. I was trying to escape. My truck died. The creature shifted its weight, revealing more of the room behind it. The walls were covered with strange glowing markings, symbols Ethan had never seen before. They seemed to pulse faintly like they were alive. Old shelves held tools, but they weren't like any tools he knew. Some floated slightly above the surface they rested on. Others were made of materials that shimmered like liquid glass. There were also strange boxes with blinking lights and soft humming sounds. It didn't look like a bunker built by humans. Ethan's mind raced. What was this place, and more importantly, what was it? The creature took a slow step closer, the ground vibrating faintly under its weight. It raised one arm, and Ethan saw long claws at the ends of its fingers. The claws looked sharp enough to cut through metal, yet the creature didn't attack. Instead, it pointed toward a corner of the bunker. There was an old table there, covered in dust and small glowing stones. On the table sat a device the size of a backpack, covered in strange cables. Beacon, the creature said. Ethan frowned. Beacon? For what? The creature's eyes flickered slightly. They will come. Ethan's stomach tightened. Who will come? The creature didn't answer right away, its gaze drifting to the ceiling, outside. The sound of the hurricane roared again, like an angry giant pounding at the world. The creature's voice dropped lower. Hunters. Not from this sky. Ethan felt cold all over. This wasn't just a bunker. It was hiding something, or someone. And if hunters were coming, it meant the storm outside might not be the worst danger. The creature took another step closer, and Ethan instinctively backed up until his back touched the wall. Its glowing eyes locked on his. You. Help me, it said. Ethan shook his head. Help you? I don't even know what's going on. The creature leaned down slightly, the glow from its eyes brightening. You help, or you die when they come. The air between them was heavy. Ethan could hear the faint hum of the glowing symbols on the walls. Something deep inside told him this was real. Whatever they were coming, and fast. He swallowed hard, his mind torn between fear and survival. The creature stepped back and pointed to a strange control panel near the far wall. Lights blinked on it in random patterns. The buttons and switches didn't look like anything from Earth. The creature spoke again, its voice steady. Storm hides us now, but storm will pass. They will find us. Ethan didn't know if he could trust it, but he also knew he had nowhere else to go. The hurricane outside was strong enough to rip apart buildings. If these hunters were worse than that, he had no choice. The creature moved toward the panel and began pressing strange glowing pads. Each touch made a different sound, some deep and rumbling, others high and sharp. The walls around them vibrated, and for a moment, Ethan thought the bunker itself was alive. A faint image appeared in the air above the panel, like a floating map. It showed the storm swirling over the land and 3 bright red dots moving through it. They come, the creature said again. Ethan's breath caught. 3 red dots moving closer every second. The storm was not his only problem now. The real danger was already on its way. The red dots on the floating map kept moving. Each second they were closer. Ethan stared at them, feeling like the walls around him were shrinking. The creature turned away from the map, its glowing eyes fixed on him. You cannot face them alone, it said. Ethan almost laughed. though nothing was funny. Face them? I don't even know what they are. The creature's voice was deep but steady. They are hunters. Killers from the cold dark between stars. The words sent a chill through Ethan's spine. He imagined creatures worse than the one standing in front of him. What do they want? He asked. The creature's gaze dropped for a moment. Me. It said simply. Ethan frowned. So I'm just in the wrong place at the wrong time. The creature looked at him again. Not wrong. Chosen. Ethan shook his head quickly. I didn't choose anything. But the creature's voice was calm. The storm. It was made to push you here. Those words sank into Ethan like a stone sinking into deep water made. He thought the hurricane was a natural disaster, but now the idea that it was created to bring him here made him feel trapped. The creature stepped closer. You help me. I protect you. Ethan's instinct screamed not to trust it, but his logic told him he had no other choice. The storm outside would tear him apart, and the hunters, if they could track something inside this bunker, would kill him without hesitation. What do you need? He asked. The creature moved to the corner where the strange backpack-sized device sat. Beacon. Broken, it said. Touching the device with its clawed fingers, it opened a panel, revealing small glowing pieces and cables that pulsed like living veins. If we fix, we hide. Ethan stepped closer, his eyes scanning the strange alien. Technology. I don't know anything about this, he said. The creature's eyes glowed brighter. I will show. You have hands. Fast hands. Ethan hesitated. Working with this thing meant staying close to it, but he had a feeling the hunters would not give him time to think. Fine, he muttered. The creature handed him a small tool, light but warm. As if it was alive, when Ethan touched the glowing wires inside the beacon, he felt a faint vibration travel up his arm. It was like the machine was aware of him. He looked at the creature. What are you? The creature paused for a moment, as if deciding how much to reveal. Korath, it said finally. Last of my unit. Last of my kind here. The name felt strange on Ethan's tongue. What happens if they find you? Korath's voice lowered. Then you die too. The room felt colder after those words. They worked in tense silence. The only sounds the distant howl of the storm and the faint hum of the beacon. Every so often, Ethan would glance at the floating map. The red dots were even closer now. How long? He asked. Korath's head tilted slightly. Minutes. Maybe less. Ethan's pulse raced. His hands moved faster, connecting wires and locking glowing pieces into place. Some of the pieces seemed to melt into the device as if they were part of a living thing. Finally, Korath pressed his claw to the side of the beacon, and the glow inside it surged brighter. A pulse of light shot upward, disappearing into the ceiling. Ethan flinched. Won't that show them where we are? Korath shook his head slowly. No. Now they see nothing. Ethan's relief was short-lived, because outside the hatch, something heavy slammed into the ground. The sound was loud enough to shake dust from the ceiling. Korath's head snapped toward the ladder. They are here. Ethan's mouth went dry. I thought the beacon. Too late, Korath interrupted, his claws sliding out fully, gleaming in the dim light. He reached to the shelves and pulled down a strange weapon, a curved object that hummed when he held it. From another shelf, he took something small and black. Pressing it into Ethan's hand, it felt alive, pulsing faintly against his skin. What is this? Ethan whispered. Protection, Korath said. Point at them. Think of stopping them. It will obey. Ethan didn't understand, but the pounding above them was getting louder. Something scraped against the hatch, metal screaming against metal. Korath's voice became almost a growl. Now, you fight with me. Ethan's stomach twisted. A few hours ago, he was driving to escape a storm. Now he was standing in an alien bunker, about to fight creatures from the stars. The sound above grew sharper, claws cutting through the hatch. Korath stepped in front of him, the blue glow of his eyes burning brighter. Ethan's grip tightened on the strange weapon. The first piece of the hatch broke open, and in that moment, he knew there was no turning back. The hatch groaned under, the weight pressing down on it. Each slam sent vibrations through the bunker floor. Dust rained from the ceiling, mixing with the cold, damp air. Ethan stood behind Korath, his heart beating so fast it hurt. The blue glow from Korath's eyes lit up the dark like twin beacons. Outside, the hurricane howled, but here underground, a new danger was crawling in. Metal screeched as the claws above peeled the hatch open inch by inch. Ethan caught his first glimpse, a black, curved talon sliding into the gap. It was shiny and wet, almost like insect armor. Then another claw joined it, tearing the metal wider. Korath raised his weapon, a strange curved staff that hummed like it was alive. "Stay close," he growled. Ethan clutched the small alien device in his hands, feeling its faint pulse against his skin. He had no idea how to use it, but he didn't have time to think. The hatch burst open with a sharp metallic scream. Rain and wind exploded into the room. Through the opening dropped a tall figure. It landed without a sound. The creature stood over 7 feet, covered in segmented armor that gleamed under the flickering light. Its head was long and narrow, with glowing red eyes set deep inside. It carried a weapon shaped like a hooked blade. With a glowing edge, Korath didn't hesitate. He lunged forward. Swinging his staff in a wide arc, the weapon struck the hunter's blade, sending a shower of blue sparks across the room. Ethan stumbled back, trying to stay out of the fight, but another shadow dropped from above, landing between him and the far wall. This one hissed, its breath visible in the cold air. Its insect-like mouth opened, revealing rows of sharp, clicking teeth. Ethan pointed his alien device at it. He thought the word "stop," and to his shock, a burst of blue energy shot out. It hit the creature in the chest, sending it flying back into the wall. The alien weapon in his hands grew warmer, almost as if it approved. Korath fought like a storm given shape. His movements were fast, his strikes heavy, each swing of his staff ringing through the bunker. The first hunter ducked low, moving with unnatural speed. It slashed at Korath, the blade cutting into the stone floor when it missed. From above, a third shadow appeared, sliding down through the torn hatch. Ethan's stomach dropped. There were 3 of them. The red dots on the map had been right. The new arrival went straight for the beacon. Ethan's mind raced. If they destroyed it, their only protection from more hunters would be gone. He ran toward the creature, his feet splashing through the shallow puddles. It turned just in time to see him aim. A second burst of blue energy hit its shoulder, spinning it around. The weapon in Ethan's hands pulsed harder. Korath roared, driving his staff into the chest of the first hunter, sending it crashing into a pile of alien crates. The second hunter recovered from Ethan's earlier strike, lunging at him with terrifying speed. Ethan jumped back, the alien weapon firing. Again, without him thinking, the blast hit the floor, sending water and shards of stone into the air. The hunter stumbled, giving Ethan a moment to run. Korath blocked a strike aimed at Ethan, the sound of weapons clashing echoing like thunder. "Underground, you must move," Korath barked. Ethan ducked under a swinging blade, his breath coming in sharp gasps. The hurricane outside screamed through the broken hatch, rain pouring down into the bunker. Lightning flashed, lighting up the hunter's red eyes like burning coals. Korath knocked one to the ground, then grabbed Ethan by the arm, pulling him toward the far side of the room. The hunters regrouped quickly, their movements sharp and coordinated. "They will not stop," Korath said, his voice steady despite the chaos. Ethan glanced at the beacon, still glowing, still humming, but it was only a matter of time before they reached it again. Korath pressed something into Ethan's palm, a small disc, smooth and warm. "If we are separated, press this," he said. Ethan didn't ask what it did. The hunters closed in again, their glowing weapons raised. Korath's eyes brightened to an almost blinding blue. "Now we fight," he growled. The room became a blur of movement, light, and sound. Ethan fired again and again, the alien device seeming to guide his aim. Korath's staff struck with the force of a hammer, breaking through armor and sending the hunters reeling. One hunter fell, its body twitching before going still, but the other two kept coming, their eyes locked on the beacon, the storm outside. Roared, the bunker walls shuddered. Ethan realized the fight was far from over. This was only the beginning. Water poured through the torn hatch like a broken dam. The hurricane's wind roared into the bunker, turning the air into a swirling wall of rain and debris. The hunters moved faster now, their red eyes glowing brighter in the chaos. Korath stepped forward, his metallic frame steady against the storm's force. Ethan stood behind him, gripping the alien weapon so tight his knuckles ached. Lightning flashed, filling the bunker with sharp white light for a split second. In that flash, Ethan saw the hunters split apart, circling them from both sides. "They will flank," Korath warned, his voice barely louder than the storm. Before Ethan could respond, one hunter leapt through the air. Korath swung his staff upward, meeting it mid-jump. The impact sent a burst of blue sparks spraying across the wet stone. The hunter crashed into the wall but landed on its feet. Its blade spun in a deadly arc, slicing through one of the shelves like paper. Ethan's breath caught as another hunter lunged at him from the side. He raised the alien weapon, thinking, "Stop." A burst of blue energy erupted from it, striking the hunter in the shoulder. The force spun it halfway around, but it kept moving forward. Ethan backed up until his heel caught on a metal crate. He stumbled, hitting the floor hard. The hunter raised its glowing blade, ready to strike. A sudden flash of claws ripped across its chest. Korath had moved faster than Ethan could track. The hunter staggered back, hissing. Before Korath slammed it into the ground, rain continued to pour, pooling on the floor until water reached their ankles. The sound of the storm above was deafening. Lightning flashed again, revealing the third hunter standing at the hatch. It held something long and black, its surface rippling like liquid. When it aimed, Ethan realized it wasn't a gun. It was some kind of spear that hummed with energy. "Korath!" he shouted, but it was too late. The hunter hurled the spear with terrifying speed. Korath twisted aside, but the weapon grazed his shoulder, sending a shower of sparks and shards of armor flying. The smell of scorched metal filled the air. Korath grunted, his movements slowing for just a moment. That moment was enough for the first hunter to recover. It slashed at Korath's leg, forcing him to one knee. Ethan's heart raced. He fired at the attacker, the blue burst striking it square in the head. The creature's armor cracked, and it dropped to the floor, twitching. The alien weapon in Ethan's hands grew hotter, almost humming now. The remaining two hunters didn't hesitate. One charged Korath, the other ran for the beacon. Ethan knew if they destroyed it, they were done. He ran forward, water splashing. High with each step, the hunter reached the beacon first, raising its blade. Ethan didn't think. He aimed and fired. The burst hit the hunter's weapon, shattering it in a flash of light. The creature hissed and spun toward him. Before it could move, Korath's staff slammed into its side, sending it crashing into the far wall. The last hunter roared, a deep, insect-like screech that rattled the walls. It swung its claws at Korath, each strike fast and brutal. Korath blocked 1, 2, but the third cut deep into his side. Ethan's chest tightened. He aimed and fired again. The burst hit the hunter in the chest, sending it stumbling into the water. Korath didn't waste the opening. He brought his staff down in a crushing blow, splitting the hunter's armor. It collapsed, the glow fading from its eyes. For a moment, only the storm's roar remained. Ethan's arms shook from adrenaline. Korath stood over the fallen hunters, his breathing heavy. Water now reached their knees, rushing toward the lower tunnels. "The storm will drown this place," Korath said. He grabbed the beacon, tucking it under one arm. "We must go." "Now," Ethan nodded, following him toward a door at the far end of the bunker. Behind them, lightning lit the hunters' bodies, their armor glistening in the floodwater. The hurricane screamed overhead as they pushed into the unknown asterisk, the floodwater. Chased them down the narrow tunnel. Each step splashed cold water against Ethan's legs. The air was thick and heavy, carrying the distant roar of the storm. Korath moved quickly despite his injuries, the beacon clutched tightly under his arm. Ethan followed close, glancing back every few seconds. The dim glow of the bunker faded behind them. Ahead, the tunnel curved downward, leading into a larger chamber. The walls here were smoother, made of a dark metal that reflected the faint blue light of Korath's eyes. Strange patterns glowed along the surface, shifting like waves. Ethan slowed for a moment, his eyes catching on something in the metal. It wasn't just decoration, it was a map. Lines curved across its surface, connecting points of light. Some of the lights were bright, others dim. Korath noticed him looking. "This is not the only place," Korath said quietly. Ethan frowned. "Not the only bunker?" Korath shook his head. "Not the only world." The words hit Ethan hard. Before he could speak, a low hum filled the chamber. It came from the far wall, where a circular doorway slid open. Beyond it was a room unlike anything he'd seen. The floor was smooth black glass, the walls lined with glowing symbols. In the center stood a tall, cylindrical structure. It pulsed faintly, each beat in sync with the beacon Korath carried. Korath approached it and placed the beacon into a slot on its side. The entire room lit up. A massive projection appeared above them. It showed the hurricane, swirling over the land. But now Ethan could see it differently. Beneath the storm were thin red lines, stretching like threads into the ocean and beyond. "What is that?" Ethan asked. Korath's voice was heavy. "It is not wind and rain. It is a net." Ethan stared, not understanding. Korath turned to him. "The hunters did not follow me here by chance. They made the storm to find life. To find you." Ethan felt his chest tighten. "Me? Why me?" Korath's eyes dimmed slightly. "You are not random. You are a signal." Ethan shook his head. "That doesn't make sense." Korath stepped closer, his metallic frame casting a long shadow across the glowing floor. "When you were born, something was placed inside you. A mark, a code. Not human." Ethan's stomach turned. "That's impossible," he said, his voice shaking. Korath's voice was calm but firm. "It is why the beacon reacted to you. Why the hunters came. You carry something they need." Ethan's mind raced. Images of his life flashed in his head. Nothing unusual. No signs he was anything other than human. But now the thought that his entire existence had been shaped by something alien made his knees weak. He took a step back. "What happens if they get it?" Korath's gaze hardened. "Then your world ends." The hum in the room grew louder. The projection shifted, showing more red dots moving across the map, far more than the 3 hunters they had fought. Ethan counted at least a dozen, maybe more. "They're coming here," he said. Korath nodded. "This chamber leads to my ship, buried deep. But not ready to fly." Ethan swallowed hard. "So we can't run." Korath's eyes glowed brighter. "We can run. But only if you choose to leave your world behind." Ethan felt like the air had been punched out of him. Leave Earth? The thought was unreal. Korath took a slow step forward. "If you stay, you die, and so does everyone here." Ethan's hands curled into fists. He wanted to refuse. But the map above them showed the truth. The hunters were coming from all directions. The storm was only the first move, and he was at the center of it. The ground trembled, dust falling from the high ceiling. Korath looked up sharply. "They are here. Sooner than I thought." He grabbed Ethan's arm, pulling him toward the open door at the far end of the chamber. Ethan stumbled after him, his mind still reeling. Somewhere deep inside, a choice was forming, not just to survive, but to decide what he was willing to leave behind. Behind them, the walls of the chamber shifted, sealing the doorway. The storm outside was nothing compared to what was now chasing them. The tunnel ahead sloped downward. Water rushed past their feet, pulled by gravity into the depths. The walls changed from stone to smooth black metal, glowing faintly with lines that pulsed like veins. The air was warmer here, humming with a low vibration. Ethan could feel it in his bones. Korath moved quickly, his steps heavy but sure. Behind them, the distant sound of claws on metal echoed through the tunnels. "They are in," Korath said without turning. Ethan's chest tightened. "How far to the ship?" Korath's answer was short. "Close, but not ready." They entered a massive underground hangar. The ceiling stretched so high it disappeared into shadows. In the center rested a sleek alien vessel, its surface smooth and silver. Blue lights rippled across its hull like waves. Even without touching it, Ethan could feel its power. "This is your ship?" he asked. Korath nodded. "My only way out." Ethan took a step closer, the reflection of his face warping in the curved surface. It felt alive, as if it was watching him. Korath placed his clawed hand on a glowing panel. The ship responded. Instantly, a ramp sliding down with a hiss of steam. They rushed inside, the door sealing behind them. The interior was unlike anything had seen. Smooth walls, no visible controls. The floor shifted under his feet, adjusting to his weight. Korath moved to the center, placing the beacon into a recessed slot. The ship's hum deepened, and a large display appeared in the air. It showed the tunnels behind them. Red dots filled the paths like a swarm. "They are almost here," Ethan said. Korath's eyes narrowed. "We can leave." "But the engines are not charged." Ethan looked at him sharply. "How long?" Korath's voice was grim. 2 minutes, maybe less. "If we survive that long." The ship shuddered suddenly. A deep boom echoing from outside. The hunters had reached the hangar. Through a small viewing slit, Ethan saw them, dozens of them, red eyes glowing in the dark. Weapons ready, some clung to the walls like insects. Others charged straight for the ship. Korath grabbed a long curved weapon from the wall, tossing another alien device to Ethan. "Defend the ramp," he said. Ethan's hands trembled. The ramp was their only way out, but also the hunters' way in. The first creature leapt through the air. Claws outstretched, Ethan fired, a burst of blue energy slamming into its chest. It fell back, hissing. Korath struck another mid-leap, his staff slicing through its armor. More came, their screeches mixing with the roar of the storm far above. The ship's hum grew louder. "Engines charging," a smooth voice said from nowhere. Ethan didn't have time to wonder if it was the ship speaking. A hunter's blade cut past his face, close enough to feel the heat. He fired again, the recoil shaking his arm. Korath fought like a machine of war, every strike precise, every move deadly. But even he was slowing his earlier wounds taking their toll. "They're too many," Ethan shouted. "Hold." Korath growled. The ship's voice returned. "Engines at 70%. The hunters were pushing closer, their bodies piling against the ramp. Ethan fired until the alien weapon in his hands glowed hot. One hunter broke through, lunging for him. Korath slammed into it, taking the blow himself. His armor cracked, sparks flying. Ethan's stomach twisted. "Korath." The ship's voice cut through the chaos. "Engines at 95%. Korath forced himself upright, pushing Ethan back toward the ship's center. "You must choose," he said, his voice strained. Ethan's breath caught. "Choose?" Korath's eyes locked on his, glowing brighter than ever. "If we leave now, we escape, but the storm and the hunters will stay. And they will find others like you." Ethan's chest tightened. "What's the other choice?" Korath's voice dropped lower. "We overload the core, destroy them here. But the blast will take the ship. And us." Outside, the hunters screeched louder. The ramp shook under their weight. The ship's voice came again. "Engines at 100%. Ready for launch." Korath extended his clawed hand. "Decide." Ethan's heart pounded, his eyes flicking between the glowing control panel and the swarm outside. He could live, or he could end it here. The roar of the storm mixed with the hiss of the engines. Ethan took a step forward, his hand hovering over the panel. The screen lit up, waiting for his choice. Outside, the hunters broke through the final barrier. Ethan's eyes closed for a heartbeat. When they opened, his hand came down. The ship's systems screamed to life, and the world went white.